Welcome to the podcast. Let's jump right in. We're looking at the new updated requirements for importing dogs from high risk rabies countries into the United States, effective August 2024.
Right. These new rules are quite something. So, basically, we're talking about Rue Kennels at LAX, correct?
Exactly. Rue Kennels is a CDC registered animal care facility located near Los Angeles International Airport. It's one of the authorized spots for handling these special import cases.
And these aren't just any dogs. They're ones coming from high-risk rabies countries, right?
Absolutely. If a dog has been in one of these high-risk countries within the last 6 months, then the owner must follow some very specific protocols.
Yeah. Let's talk about the documents required. There's a list of items that sound like an entire filing cabinet, isn't there?
It's like you're preparing for a major inspection. First up, you need something called a certification of foreign rabies vaccination and microchip form. That must be completed by a licensed veterinarian, and it has that critical section G which has to be typed, though it can be signed by an official government veterinarian from the exporting country.
Right. Then, there's the rabies serology titer report, which is required if you want to skip that 28-day quarantine. And, if I'm not mistaken, it has to be drawn at least 28 days after the first rabies vaccination.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that this report needs to come from a CDC-approved lab, so it's extra verified. This helps avoid those longer quarantine times at Rue Kennels.
I love that they have a clear document trail. What else is on the checklist?
There's the dog microchip requirement. The microchip must be ISO compatible and scannable. And, it must be inserted before the rabies vaccine is given. The microchip number even needs to appear on every piece of documentation.
Right, consistency is key. And they even call for 4 distinct dog photos. That really stood out to me.
Definitely. It includes a full face photo, a side body photo with the dog standing and facing forward, plus 2 photos of their teeth, one from the front and one from the side. This helps with age verification, ensuring the dog is at least 6 months old upon
Yeah, that's
entry.
very detailed. Then there's the travel documentation part. It seems like the dog's itinerary becomes almost as important as the dog's own health record.
Right on. You need a passport and visa information page for the traveler or owner, along with a valid contact phone number. They even accept WhatsApp, WeChat, or SMS. It's a modern twist to keep in touch.
I also recall there's something called the CDC dog import form receipt.
Yes, the receipt is completed online by the importer. It's a one-time entry form valid for a specific date, and it has to be shown either in printed form or via a smartphone to customs or airline staff. Kind of like an entry ticket for your pet.
Exactly. Now, if something's missing, like, say, a valid rabies titer, then the dog gets a mandatory 28-day quarantine at Rue Kennels. That seems like a pretty serious backup plan.
Yeah, it is. The quarantine is essential in ensuring that the dog is truly free from rabies risk. Rue Kennels handles that, providing a controlled environment with health examinations, additional vaccination if needed, and final customs clearance within 24 hours of arrival once everything is verified.
Right, that strict timeline is impressive. But here's something I've been thinking about. Don't you think that this process might be too burdensome for some pet owners? I mean, organizing so many documents and ensuring compliance might be overwhelming.
I see your point. It can seem a bit, rigorous. The rules are strict, but they're designed this way to protect public health. The risks associated with dog rabies are not taken lightly. There's a lot of administrative work involved, but
Makes
that's the
sense.
cost of safety.
And it's not just the paperwork. The entire process requires coordination between the CDC, US Customs, and the facility at LAX. That's a lot of moving pieces.
Yes, it's a coordinated effort to ensure each dog not only meets health standards, but that all travel and documentation details are perfectly in order. If any detail is off, it could delay the release to the owner or require a quarantine
Exactly.
period.
Every detail matters. Speaking of details, the requirement for certified translations, if documents aren't in English, adds an extra layer, doesn't it?
Right. If the paperwork is in another language, it needs to have a certified English translation. That translation must include the translator's name, address, contact information, and a formal statement on professional letterhead confirming accuracy, complete with a signature and license number.
That's thorough. It really seems like every potential loophole is plugged.
Precisely. The intention is to make sure that there's no ambiguity about a dog's vaccination and health status. The thoroughness is warranted given the nature of the risk and the importance of keeping rabies out.
I agree. I'm curious. Why have such detailed photo requirements? Is it truly about age verification or something else?
Great question. The photos, especially those of the dog's teeth, are primarily intended for verifying the age of the dog. Age verification is crucial since one of the key eligibility criteria is that the dog must be at least 6 months old at the time of entry. But you could also say the photos help provide an overall record of the dog's health and appearance.
That's interesting. And what about the role of the full payment and deposit mentioned for the reservation at Rue Kennels?
Oh yes, full payment is required along with a non-refundable deposit. The deposit is forfeited if travel is cancelled 48 hours or less before the arrival date. It might be used towards future transport if scheduled within 30 days. It's a no-nonsense policy to ensure commitments are honored.
Right, it's about ensuring accountability. Now, it seems like each dog not only needs its own set of documents, but also a separate reservation process. Isn't that a bit overwhelming?
True, each dog requires its own CDC dog import form, receipt, and all the accompanying documents. It's very individualized. This ensures that each dog is processed with specific attention to detail without any mix-ups.
No shortcuts there. And once a dog lands, time is of the essence. The process at the facility is completed within 24 hours, right?
Exactly. Upon arrival, the dog is directly transferred to the facility where they undergo a health examination, receive a rabies vaccination if needed, and get final customs clearance swiftly. This rapid processing is crucial to minimize stress on the animal and secure its safe release.
That efficiency is key. I appreciate the built-in collaboration between various agencies, CDC, US Customs, and the facility. It really drives a holistic safety net for these imports, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a collective effort. ACDC-level coordination, if you will, though not literally, but just to emphasize the multifaceted approach here. It marries healthcare, legal verifications, and logistics all together for a secure process.
Yeah, it's impressive when different parts work together. However, one could argue that the process might be seen as too bureaucratic. Do you think there's a risk of discouraging legitimate pet owners due to all the paperwork involved?
That's a fair critique. While the requirements are stringent, they are necessary to maintain public health standards. Perhaps in the future, further streamlining and digital integrations could make it less burdensome for pet owners without compromising safety.
Striking that balance is important. Exactly. Keeping the process secure while making it accessible is key. I imagine these changes will evolve as new technologies get integrated.
Precisely. It's an evolving system that will hopefully adopt more efficient digital confirmations and possibly even virtual inspections to cut down on the physical paperwork, all while keeping the standards at a high level.
Right? That would be a step forward. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap. We've got Rue Kennels at LAX acting as the hub for dogs coming from high-risk countries. There are strict document requirements, including vaccination certifications, titers, microchip details, and photos. Plus, designated travel documentation and compulsory appointments at an approved facility.
Exactly. And if any of the key health documents like the rabies serology titer are missing, a 28-day quarantine is automatically required. The process is comprehensive, ensuring these furry friends, and us by extension, remain safe.
Indeed. It truly highlights how much thought goes into protecting public health, even on something like pet travel.
Right, and as pet travel becomes even more global, having these robust protocols will be essential. The coordination between different regulatory bodies really sets a high standard.
Absolutely. Thanks for this deep dive. It's enlightening to see how extensive measures keep both our pets and communities safe.
For sure, and it's been a great chat. Until next time, keep those tails wagging and those papers in order.